Hello and welcome to GPTV on Tuesday the 22nd of December in the year 2020, coming to a conclusion.
And not too soon, Phil. We'll be happy to say goodbye to the year 2020 in a very Aussie way, Philip. We can just tell it to, I won't say, go away.
Something off.
Yeah, go away.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll restrain myself,
Right
Phil.
off.
Yeah, and I don't think there'd be anyone who would disagree unless you make masks. If you make masks, you say that was what a great year.
Mask and sanitizer.
Oh yeah.
I reckon.
And toilet paper.
I reckon Scott Morrison, our dear PM, would be happy to use the colloquial expression that we've stayed away from. So,
mind you, he got out of jail a little bit because he wasn't looking too good with the bushfires, and then the pandemic came. He looked a lot better, Philip.
There is no question. If there was one person that was saved by the pandemic, it was Scott Morrison.
In a way, yeah.
Let's just hope, because there is some talk in astrological circles, Gary, that it's not impossible that Australia may be hit by a massive meteorite next year.
Wow,
so,
there you go.
But apparently when a meteorite hits planet Earth, it kills viruses.
Well, that would be good.
You know,
there won't be any people left, but we'll be clear of viruses. That'd be wonderful. Well, that's all we need now is that on top of everything else. But you know, when you look at you talk about Scott Morrison, of course, you look at the year in review. It's a good time. It's a good episode. Not that we haven't got lots of sales to talk about. We have, but the year in review, Philip. We look at Scott Morrison, and I remember him shaking his fingers and saying to us when people were just going wild at clearing out supermarkets and toilet paper, and he just said, "Do you remember? Stop it!" He just said, and I remember it was the most authoritative thing that he said in his whole. He doesn't. I tell you what, if you mess with him in supermarkets and you're shopping, Scott Morrison, he was pretty angry about it.
I've got to tell you, it was presidential. It was regal in its tone,
and commanding.
And there's no question. There's one thing though that Scott Morrison says that he can't say stop it to, and that's our weekend success results, Gary, with 32 auctions held by Gary Peer and Associates, which would have to probably be our biggest December weekend offering ever.
I'd say so.
Well, the question is, what was our clearance rate? And the answer to that is what you viewers would expect from us, 100%.
100%, Phil, and that's in that volume.
32 out of 32.
That's amazing,
Gary.
isn't it? And I mean, our team.
Let's put a cake up, a celebration cake.
Fireworks,
with some dancing girls and boys on the top of the cake.
Yeah, girls and boys, political, correct.
Thank you. Because that is truly extraordinary. And a
fireworks.
shout out to all of our team for the massive amount of work that did go into that.
Phil, and let's put the towers up for the final time in 2020, our final towers. And there we are, Phil, the Eureka Tower, you could say, the highest tower of all, 100% against the industry average of 82%. Nothing wrong with that, Phil.
Massive.
82.
Massive
well done to the industry too. Yeah, of not quite a Gary Peer standard, but still nothing to be ashamed of, Phil. So, look, just a monster weekend, Phil. Fantastic celebration of success. And what a way to close the year, on a high, because it's been a year of not so many highs. It's been a weird year, but talk about the year of the pivot, Phil, the year of the pivot and the turning around. These rooms that we're in all of a sudden became auction rooms. We've never wanted to do auctions in rooms, ever. But we've done it in here, Phil. We've done on-site auctions, twilight auctions, evening auctions. We did an auction in our Carnegie office. We did an auction at night time when there were two possums having a bit of a go.
Zoom auctions, Gary?
Zoom auctions. We've had Zoom auctions. You've done your first ever auction in your underpants, which was, you know, probably a sight that we didn't need to see. In fact, we didn't.
Once you see that, you can't unsee it.
No, you can't unsee that, Phil. That stays with the memory for a long time. You know, kids would experience trauma if they were to see such a vision, Phil. But mind you, sold it well done. And you did sell our final auction of the year really well too in the Ellington Street, price undisclosed, Phil, but sold for many hundreds of thousands over
the reserve.
And 5 bidders. Let's put the property up here. And we've got a little bit of an auction scene just for our last one of the year, Phil. We can have a little bit of a look around the crowd because that was a beauty of an auction and a big weekend of sales and some exciting results, Phil. Some very exciting
and we had some amazing personal achievements, Gary. You managed to actually go to the dermatologist and have him do some experimental work on your face. But I must say, it's actually starting to look okay.
Good. I told you that. I said that the moth will become a butterfly, Philip. I'm out of the cocoon now.
I've got to tell you, looking after your skin in this very harsh
beautiful
climate of Australia is so important. But the experimental surgery that Gary did have on his face, whilst it did work, I'm not sure we'd be recommending that, although it's good to see that you've taken your skin now a little bit more seriously and starting to wear that hat that you're wearing on the weekends.
I know.
And good to see that.
All these years I've been able to poke fun and laugh at you for you taking care of your skin, and look, there you go. I became the victim of poor skin management, Phil. And when I went back to get checked, he did say, the professor that was looking after me, he's a professor, he said, you know, you did need that because your skin, I'll tell you what. Anyway, but you two take good care of your skin, as you do the rest of yourself, Philip. The most coiffured agent in Melbourne, Victoria, perhaps the world, Australia for sure. And he does look after himself, and all that work you've had, I think it looks good, Phil.
Thank you, Gary.
I think it looks good.
Thank
it
you.
worked. It was worth it.
It'd be rather painful, wouldn't it, to do all of what I've done
spend all that money,
all of what I've spent,
and have
not
no
look,
good result.
Not look a treat.
Yeah.
Viewers are probably asking what's in store for 2021, Gary. We've got some interesting stats coming out.
I want the coffee van back. Can we get the
bloody
coffee van
vans
back?
are coming back. We hope to release the coffee vans in February, assuming, of course, all of those stinky Sydney-siders don't start crossing the border.
I tell you what.
You know what? It's really...
The disease state, New South Wales.
I've got to tell you, I'm kind of quite happy that there's been an outbreak.
Don't say that. Because people will take it the wrong way.
I'm quite happy.
It's politically correctness, Phil. You've got to be careful.
You know, they looked at Victoria with such scorn, and they looked down upon us.
Right.
They looked at us as though we were the diseased state, and we were the diseased state.
Yeah.
But now I've got to tell you, if you think about it, coronavirus breaking out in Sydney, I've got to tell you, this virus is going to mutate into something absolutely shocking, because you mix New South Walians, New South Welsh people with a virus. Goodness knows what's going to happen, and I've got to tell you, you deserve it, because you showed us no sympathy, you showed
respect,
us no love,
no,
there were no care
support.
Packages sent across the border.
Nothing sent
you
over
all
head.
just went around your Bondi lives in your
beautiful
skimpy,
bodies,
in your skimpy little outfits, showing yourselves off, walking back and forwards from Tamarama across the cliff, going, how clever are we?
Look how beautiful it is. The sun's
look
out.
How gorgeous we are, and now you're nothing but filthy disease. And it will mutate. I'm going to say, it's like a cesspool. You know,
a cesspit.
You watch. They're going to show that lovely. You know how the plane comes in around the harbour, and you see the lovely glistening harbour, and of course the harbour bridge, and the sails of the Opera House. Let's see those sails of the Opera House covered in festering buboes, because even the Opera House will get some terrible genetic mutated disease, and I don't care.
You know, we did get a bit of love from Sydney. I tell you one thing. Whoever gave it to us is feeling very, very sorry about doing it now. Anyway, it's good to be able to come on and have a common enemy, isn't it, Phil?
Absolutely.
Instead of bucketing each other, we both unite to bucket Sydney. Although we've got a lot of clients and we've got family there, they'll probably never talk to us again after this. But of course, all said in jest. Look, the death of the Aussie larrikin. There was a show on the other day called The Death of the Aussie Larrikin, which was on. Interesting about all political correctness. Now, you know, Paul Hogan and all these, they couldn't do all that stuff today, Phil, because political correctness. So this is probably a little bit of political incorrectness in a tongue-in-cheek way. So hopefully we don't upset or offend anybody, Philip. Certainly our audience north of the border is gone, well and truly gone. New Year's resolutions, Phil? The new year in review, I think Pivot was what it's all about. Any resolutions for you?
I've got to tell you, this, without question, this pandemic has been shocking, and to all of those, of course, that have seriously gone through COVID and experienced the loss of a loved one, keep in mind that this is said in jest. Having said that, I actually believe the pandemic has been a great thing for society. I think we'll come out of this a better society. I think people are more caring.
As we've just shown with Sydney.
People are more caring. People are more sharing. I think that there's a better sense of community. I think people are more open-minded into the way we do things. I think we'll, as a business, do a lot of things in the years to come very differently. I personally think it's been a fantastic thing. So, you know,
it hasn't been.
You wouldn't wish for it.
It hasn't been a fantastic thing, but we found good in it, haven't we? That's what we should say. You can't say it's been fantastic, because what will happen is one of our competitors will say, Philip Kingston said COVID was a fantastic thing. They'll send it off to hospitals and doctors, and the government will be shut down.
Well, I think we have a very intelligent viewership, Gary, and I think that they'll understand that what I'm trying to say is that whilst it has been a disaster for humanity, I think humanity has pivoted to be a better to be a better civilization as a result.
Phil, some of the best gifts are poorly wrapped, as we've heard and said before.
Yes.
And yeah, I've got to say, I think one of my highlights of COVID was walking through the streets, local streets, and seeing lots of people walking and and actually communicating. You weren't supposed to actually, but probably a bit naughty because you weren't really supposed to be, on top of it. But we weren't. We're just seeing people on the street saying good day, and I think that was a nice part of COVID, Phil. I must say, fighting for toilet paper at the supermarket probably wasn't so much fun, but otherwise, Phil, and for all those people that suffered, it wasn't fun, Phil, and for the businesses that went down, and the hospitality and all the people that suffered.
All of that. There's no question. We're not being that flippant. No, but we genuinely, as an organisation, we genuinely believe humanity will be better as a result of this experience.
Yeah, come on here for a week for a bit of positivity, Phil, because that's what we want to do. We want to bring positivity and light and happiness,
sunshine,
and
joy
beauty
to the world.
Exactly right. That's what we're like. That's what we're about, Phil. Should we talk about some of our sales? By the way, New Year's resolution for you?
I haven't got round to making it yet, Gary, but I think
I will.
I think I will. How could I be any better to my partner? But the reality is, Gary, I will make some New Year's resolutions, and I think that they will all be about me.
Do you reckon? I think they should be. Do you reckon that it's possible for me to become an early person from a late person to early person? And I've thought about, imagine what it'd be like to be an early person, up in the morning, walking with all fresh-faced people, and and going to bed at without watching CNN and Sky and Fox at at like 2 a.m.
I think the chances of you becoming an early person
I'm thinking of it.
is like what was the famous Paul Keatingism?
The decision we had to have?
No, I'm just trying to think something about the fairies at the bottom of the garden.
Oh, right,
I think there's more chance of you discovering fairies at the bottom of the garden than you becoming an early person. I think that was
so to use a Dumb and Dumber. So there is a chance. That's what the movie you were thinking about. There is a chance to use a Dumb and Dumber line. Anyway, thinking of maybe becoming, or just flirting with or trying to be an early person. I don't know if it'll make me a better person or a different person, because I do like those late nights. And as you know, the pier home at 1 a.m, 2 a.m. is pumping. There's people talking. There's coffee coming out. Anyway, maybe.
Right, let's get back to summarising the real estate year.
Can
Gary.
you change? I'd like some viewer feedback. Can you change and become an early person if you're a late person, and vice versa, or are you just set for life that way?
I want to just review the year by saying this, Gary. 2020, when we stood here in December 2019, we were calling a very, very busy 2020. So
it's busy,
viewers,
right?
just to recap, 2020 came about. January was one of our best Januaries on record. February, March looked like we're on this wave of increasing prices and great celebration in the real estate industry, which was true of those 3 months. Obviously, the pandemic came around. The entire market was put on ice. Nothing virtually happened between March and October, and we were all wondering what was going to happen to the real estate market when we came out of hibernation in October. Well, November and December have been two of our biggest November and Decembers in the history of the company, and prices have fully recovered, Gary. So I reckon we've picked up where we left off in February, March. So good times are here, and low interest rates, Gary, every time will stimulate the real estate market.
No question about it, Phil. And I think it's also incumbent on us to just say well done to our team, because our team had some challenges. I mean, our property managers are still going through a lot of difficulty, and I've got the REIV stats here, Phil. The medium vacancy rate in Melbourne, Metro Melbourne, 32 days. Medium, that's at the moment. We're seeing stuff vacant for that and longer. Vacancy rates 4.9%, Phil. So
4.9%. Over the last few years, they've been really at around 2.5 to 3%. It's
been very tough.
We've almost got a 100% higher vacancy factor.
So well done to our team, to all of our support team, our admin, our marketing, our accounts, and everybody within Gary Pure and Associates. Just want to say, front desk right through property managers and sales. Well done to you all for seeing through the year. We've had some little change. We've actually had some bit of growth. Actually picked a few wonderful people up, Philip, some new talent. So well done to all those people for your commitment to our team and to each other and to our clients. Phil, let's just wrap some of the sales up. 5 Khartoum Street was a twilight auction. Philip, you did that well.
Just want to pick up on this point, Gary, about twilight auctions.
Yeah, we love them.
We've had probably more twilight auctions in the last 2 months.
We're the twilight agents.
Than we had in previous 5 years.
Twilight specialists.
One thing I'd like to predict, viewers, I'm going to predict that twilight auctions will be a thing of the constant future.
Here to stay.
I think that they'll become part of our weekly calendar as opposed to being a one-off or a two-of. I think think that they're going to be things that we're going to do right through all of the more warmer months.
Yep.
Probably won't be doing them in winter.
No, I don't think so.
But I think that as long as summer and daylight savings
Yep.
is around, there's a real opportunity to have more of those.
Yep.
I'm a great advocate of them.
Yep.
Every twilight auction we've had this year, Gary, has sold competitively.
It's
So
amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
I think it's something that's here to
I don't know if
stay.
every one of them, they've been overwhelmingly successful, I'd say that. I think maybe it's a slight embellishment to say
Well,
every
Gary,
one of them has been.
I am in the business of talking things up. This
Yeah,
is not a
fair
show.
enough. And I'm in
that
the business of
that
keeping
is
us
not a
out
show
of court.
that has a fact checker component
Maybe
to it.
it could be. You know what? When we get the coffee van back for
Yes.
Twilight Auctions, I'd like some music, Twilight-ish music.
Yes.
And I'd like to see some drinks that are maybe a little bit more exotic for night, and I'd like dancing as well.
Okay.
Can we do that?
Okay.
I want to do that. That's our New Year's resolution. We've just decided on it. That's what's going to happen. Phil, Khartoum Street, great Twilight auction, very successful, sold for $2,310,000 with very competitive bidding, well above reserve, hundreds of thousands above reserve. In fact, Philip, 8 Morrice Street, another Twilight auction, well
Yes.
sold by...
And well
sold by you.
attended too. We would have had 40 or 50 people there.
Good attendance. One at 29 Bambra Road. Well, that one sold very competitively.
Again, another
Phil.
30 or 40 people.
The reserve, I think, was in the range of 115 to 125, sold for $1,433,000, Philip. What a great result. 8 Ardwick you sold on Saturday morning, Philip.
That was a
That's
really
ripper.
interesting transaction,
Yeah.
Gary,
Talk
because
about
we
that.
had somebody running on this prior to auction
Yep.
that had made some offers just under 150.
Yeah, around on 50, or just over, yeah.
And the vendor had welcomed an offer at around the 1,550,000 and said, look, I'll be selling this. If,
Yep.
if you can come to that sort of price,
That's right.
I'll be selling this. The buyer didn't follow through on that.
No.
We had a competitive auction and sold for $1,700,000.
Lo and behold,
So
exactly
just,
right.
I reckon that's a bit of a record price.
And it's a good
around
story,
there.
isn't it? A good story as to why to run to auction so often, Philip. Great result. 22 Dunlop was another competitive auction that
Yes,
you did, Philip,
Gary.
so well done to you. Price undisclosed. Phil, I had some fun on Sunday morning for my last auction. I was feeling a little bit heavy-headed because, of course, Nina had a few of her friends over, my daughter, to celebrate 21. And
21?
And yes, and I, of course, I had a few cocktails and maybe one or two too many. It went pretty late. I think my wife went to bed about 6 a.m. after she finished off cleaning and talking and having fun. Anyway, Phil, I did the auction though, did it well,
Yep.
ran it okay, got no complaints, and we had 3 solid bidders there bidding to $568,000, well above its range
So
of
when you
expectation.
say you want to be a morning person, you
Yeah.
essentially were a morning
Exactly
person.
right, I was a morning person.
Got up
personally.
early?
Got up early, all right, stayed up early. Stayed up till early. 23 Ellington Street, we talked about, that was a beauty. A number of other great results. We're not going to go through them all, Phil. 24 Bokhara Road sold just shortly
Gary,
after auction.
let's
Yep.
just move on from that.
Yep.
Let's just have a few
That's a bit of a wrap.
messages that we'd like to share with our wonderful, dedicated and loyal viewership. Thank you for
Yep.
watching this show. Obviously, it was a great effort to bring it through the COVID
Yes.
time. Nice to be back in the
yeah,
studio.
next to you, not
a
Zoom.
great look. Zoom will play a role for us moving forward, but there is nothing like the personal connection that you can
Yes.
have with people.
Of course.
Even a personal connection with you standing
Yes.
here. It's much more. It's much nicer
It
than
is
looking
nicer.
at you on a screen.
Yeah, exactly right.
So I think.
And I know that you're fully clothed here too, which is what gives you some comfort as well.
2021, I think, is going to be a very exciting year. Let's hope that
Yep.
the world can find the solution to COVID.
Yep.
We're obviously got the vaccinations coming out, so those of you that are wondering whether Bill Gates will be microchipping you through the vaccination, no, you anti-vaxxers, that's not going to happen.
Have you seen
will the Chinese be reprogramming your brain through a vaccination? No, that's not going to happen either. I would suggest you get the vaccination when it comes along. I will join you after you've all had yours. I'll have mine. I want to just see whether you glow in the dark before then.
Very good idea.
But let's ensure that we all get behind being COVID safe. Let's make sure that we contain this virus and essentially shout out to the Australian governments right across, whether they be local, state or federal. Essentially, we've done a pretty good job.
Well, and they watch the show every week, Phil, so they'll appreciate the comment. Have you seen the little video clip from David Stratton and Margaret Pomerantz?
No.
So you must see that because they have a little review like a movie,
Yes.
like 2020 is a movie, and they review it like it's a movie, and they talk about, well, you know, we watched this and it wasn't wasn't really believable. You had the American president saying it's a hoax, then asking people to drink bleach, then getting the sickness himself. Like, no one would believe it. It's all implausible. So if you haven't seen that,
brilliant.
find it. Oh, it's
Yeah.
great. You'll find it on YouTube or somewhere, I'm sure. Phil, it's been a massive year, a massively challenging year, a year where we all learnt a lot about each other and ourselves, but a year that we've got through bringing GPTV to the viewers. Thank you for tuning in. There are some people who just watch this every week and they just find it tough having 5 or 6 weeks without it, but you're just going to go back to episode number 1.
Good opportunity
start
to
again.
go to episode number 1 because
right.
with 420 odd episodes, make that your summer binge watching.
Exactly right.
Challenge somebody to do it.
Is that right? Well, if you do, let us know and we'll give you a prize. Like
There'll be a good prize. Don't release it, Gary. Let's lay out the challenge. Somebody to watch all 420 episodes.
Yes, right.
I suppose there must be some way of actually fact checking whether they
Exactly
did,
right.
other than
Fair
just
enough.
sending it in saying I'll take the prize, please.
Yep, fair enough. Phil, that's a big wrap on GPT for this 2020 year. Well, thank you to the producers of the show as well and everybody behind it. And we look forward to bringing you all the zaniness and news and fun that goes with real estate, if there is such a thing, in 2021. We wish our viewers and supporters, and we thank you for all those that support our company. We wish you a very, very safe Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Seasons, greetings, and a wonderful, healthy 2021. Healthy
and the
prosperous.
words of famous Norman Gunston, he
Yes.
used to close the show with, may the good Lord smile and shine upon you and not let you pass away until next time we meet.
Yeah, that's right. I love that. Very good. We'll see you next year. Thanks all.
Thanks for
Bye
watching.
for now. Cheers.